New motorcycle announcements are about to start coming thick and fast as we move into the autumn, and so here are 6 concept bikes and preview bikes from 2022 so far that have particularly caught my eye. So first up, you may think of Can-Am as the producer of those big 3-wheelers, but if you actually look back through their history, they've had a lot of success with enduro and motocross bikes back in the 70s on the North American racing scene. So the announcement of these 2 very cool looking concept bikes is significant as it means they'll be producing 2-wheelers again as of 2024. They certainly look pretty impressive with a sort of futuristic Husqvarna sort of vibe, with that dirt bike in particular basically looking like an electric Norden 901. But the technical details are still pretty thin, despite parent company BRP saying that both bikes are in full-blown development. They do say that they'll be powered by a Rotax e-power system and that charging can take place domestically or out and about with a level 2 charger. And from the pictures, we can see that the Pulse is the more road-focused of the 2 with a naked sports bike stance, whilst the Origin is more like a middleweight adventure bike with taller suspension and oversized spoke wheels. There's also LED lighting on show, an absolute whopper of a TFT display that they say will have some level of connectivity, but the coolest looking feature in my opinion is the single-sided swing arm. Definitely looking forward to seeing how this one turns out, or these 2. Next up, we've got the Vision K750 sports bike from the Chinese manufacturer JEDI, or JEDI. And look, we're used to Chinese bikes being small capacity and built to a budget, but this one actually looks a bit tasty. Pirelli tires, Brembo radially mounted brake calipers on wavy discs, an adjustable fork, keyless ignition, and quite a serious looking TFT display that shows off features like tire pressure monitoring. There's backlit switchgear, a single-sided swing arm, and as I've already said, I do like a bit of that. And then it's got this sort of see-through screen come fairing that looks a little bit like the latest KTM RC390. Now I was just having a little poke around on their website and they've already got this sports tourer listed with a 750cc parallel twin, so I assume this will be the same engine. They say it'll do 67 horsepower at 7,500 RPM, so hopefully they do spice it up a little for the more sporty model. But still, I do like how futuristic and swooping it looks, even if the bark seems like it's going to be louder than the actual bite. Now for something completely different, how often do you actually see a brand new sidecar outfit direct from a motorcycle manufacturer? There's Ural of course, but MASH are also getting in on the game with their black side. Now they already released the Force, which is a bit more military inspired, but as the name suggests on this one, it gets a much more stealthy blacked out treatment. It's still got that sort of retro and rugged vibe, and it gets some nice convenient features like the storage compartment and a reverse gear. But yeah, it's going to be quite a chilled out ride with just a 445cc single cylinder engine that makes 28.5 horses. Then again, I guess you're not really going to be in a rush on this sort of bike. Now I say concepts, but this one is more of a preview because it's actually expected to go on sale in the next few months with an RRP of about 10,000 euros. Now, a lot of manufacturers are starting to get their electric motorcycle development programs underway, with changes in legislation and changes in the market looming over the next 10 years or so. Royal Enfield are no different, with the Indian motorcycle publication Bike Deco claiming that we could see something on the market as soon as 2026. Being an Enfield, no doubt it'll have some sort of retro aesthetic, and in fact, this is probably a good idea of roughly how it could look. This one's actually a conversion by Electric Classic Cars in the UK, and despite the fact that it's called the Photon, it's actually derived from the Enfield Bullet, because Royal Enfield actually commissioned it. So of course they whipped out the internal combustion engine, and in its place you've got a big old 10 kilowatt hour LG made battery with some retro looking cooling fins to try and blend it in with the rest of the bike. It's got a liquid cooled hub motor, and I'm getting varied reports on how much power it produces, but it looks like not a lot, so around 15 or 25 horsepower, which is especially low when you consider that it's not exactly lightweight at 200 kilograms. Still, 70 miles per hour of top speed and about 80 miles of range and about 90 minutes of charging time would make it a handy little retro commuter. Now, Electric Classic Cars will actually build you one, but the big stinger is that it'll cost about 20 grand. So hopefully Enfield come up with something similarly cool looking in the next few years, but at the slightly more palatable price points that they're so well known for. Now this, my friends, is a proper concept bike because it's super high thinking, out of the box stuff. It's the brainchild of Canadian motorbike designer Anton BROUSSEAU, who appears to have quite a bit of experience in the industry, and he calls this design the Moto SAPIEN because it represents a much closer bond between man and machine. The idea is that you're actually plugged into the bike so that the bike's electronics and the artificial intelligence interpret your thoughts, so it removes any lag time that it takes for your body to actually do stuff after you think of it. And then he says that the bike will actually feed feelings and information back to the rider/donor. So in his words, let's imagine if we could feel with the tires as finely as we can with the sense of touch in our fingers. Yes, mate, I absolutely love stuff like this. It doesn't look that comfortable though with the super high seat and the super low bars, but then maybe it doesn't matter when you're plugged into the matrix, you probably won't feel it. Perhaps a better balance between ambition and reality is Kawasaki's goal of building a hybrid motorcycle. Hybrids are pretty much everywhere in the car world now. Some manufacturers have actually stopped building purely internal combustion cars, but the challenge with a bike is fitting the battery and stuff into the packaging that's already a bit of a tight squeeze. Kawasaki don't know how to quit though, because they've been filing patents around this idea for some years now. And recently we actually got the first glance of a working prototype or two in a bit of a procession at the Suzuka 8-hour endurance race. Firstly, a little naked 125 or 250 size bike, and that'd make a great frugal commuter with the extra range the hybrid system ought to give you, especially around town. But also they showed off a more sporty looking thing that has a bit of the H2 aesthetic about it, yet looks to have some of the same hardware as their 650s. The proportions do look a little awkward though, so who knows what it's actually like to ride, but fair play to Kawasaki for getting this far with that project. That said, I can't help but feel that electric bikes are going to get better and better to the point where this sort of thing isn't really going to be appealing by the time they can actually get them on the market. And so I'd love to know what you think down in the comments below. Is a hybrid motorcycle a great idea or just a waste of time? Let me know what you think down below. And if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and I'll catch you next time.